Hey, Luckies, welcome back to Luck Management, always brought to you by Charmendi. Today's episode is a special, fun, and engaging story all about Notre Dame. I had the distinct pleasure of interviewing Lisa Kelly on the podcast. Lisa was fantastic. She's a multidimensional marketing professional. She works for Nestle Purina Pet Care, and she is a Notre Dame author. And in this podcast, we had so much fun talking about her experiences at Notre Dame, after Notre Dame, and all of her engagement with Notre Dame. She has 5 different books out right now, and she's currently working on her 6th, From the Echoes of Notre Dame. And we talk about all these different contests that she's won, her social media influence with Notre Dame, and her love and care for the university. She currently lives in Branson, Missouri. She owns a zoo, which is crazy and amazing. And she is somebody that embodies the spirit and love of luck management. I'm so happy to be able to sit down with her, and I hope you enjoy this episode as much as I did. I had so much fun talking with her, and I'm excited for you all to listen. Let's go. Ayo, welcome back to Luck Management, always brought to you by Charmendi. Today's episode is an extremely special one. I think we have someone on that is probably matching me in all of my Notre Dame love, my folklore of the beauty that comes with the Golden Dome. Today's episode, we have on somebody that is a brand and marketing specialist, a 1993 Notre Dame graduate, go Irish,
Go
and
Irish.
a Notre Dame author, and someone that I am so excited to sit down with, Lisa Kelly. Welcome to Luck Management.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, this is going to be a really cool episode to be able to see, well, first compete on who likes Notre Dame more, but also be able to learn about your business, how you're growing the good in business, such a Notre Dame staple in this world, and also just to be able to talk about what you're doing and how you're still connected to the university.
Sounds great.
Awesome. So the first thing I like to do is talk about luck management. And people always say, what does luck management mean at the end of the day? And the way that I've built it out and the way that I've grown it is I've always seen luck management as those good, bad, great, wonderful situations that you're put in. What are you doing with those situations before or after? It's the hard work and the determination that you're building and growing outside of that. I equate it a little bit to like skills management by being able to trickle down and make sure that you're using your skills to aid you and build those networks and connections. So the first question I like to ask is, what are your thoughts on luck and maybe this concept of luck management?
I love the concept of luck management. It kind of makes me think a little bit of like manifestation. So I think a lot of, one of my beliefs is what you put out into the universe is kind of what you get back from the universe. And
Uh-huh.
so I feel like the more good you put into the world, the more good you get back. So I feel like in all aspects of my life, I try to do good. I mean, I work at a company that, does a lot of good community service, gives back. Raising kids, we went to the food pantry,
Yeah.
we volunteered. And so for my kids from a very early age learned how to give back. So I feel like that's kind of a big part of my life and kind of how I do things personally, professionally, just kind of all around the horn.
I couldn't agree more. Luck is blessings and being able to provide those blessings forward, right? I have seen time and time again where I've been blessed, and the best times in my life and the times when I feel most fulfilled is when I'm able to provide or give to other people as well. So I find that to be really, really amazing. And also knowing that when you're doing good, it starts to spread out more.
And I feel like I just naturally am a really lucky person, and I don't know if that's,
Ooh.
again, what you put out is what you give back. But, I remember we first got married, and I would call into some radio thing and I'd win concert tickets and,
No
I
way.
just all this stuff. And then, so kind of my best lucky story is I
Mm.
was I, I was on Twitter. I just opened a Twitter account in like 2009. I had started my first blog in 2009, and my blog kind of started out as a hodgepodge of, marketing best practices and mom life. And on Fridays,
Hmm.
I wrote a music post about 80s music, and I wrote a little Notre Dame football, and as the blog evolved, it became more football and more football. So in
It always
2011,
does.
right. So in 2011, I got a message on Twitter from this advertising agency that said, "Hey, we're having this contest for biggest fan of the Big East Conference for men's basketball. We would like you to participate. So we're picking one blogger from every school in the conference, and we would like you to represent Notre Dame."
Whoa.
Awesome, amazing. And, I'm looking around at my peers who are blogging about Notre Dame, and I'm like, "Are you sure you want me?" And they're like,
There's
"Yeah,
plenty of other
yeah,
ones
yeah." I
out
was
there,
like,
right?
"There's like people have been doing it way longer than I have." And they're like, "No, we want you." And so they flew us all to New York to go to Media Day at the New York City Athletic Club.
No
And
way.
then every 2 weeks we had a mandatory writing assignment. And they went from, you know, um, if you could build your dream team of Big East basketball players, who would it be? If you could go on a road trip to Big East schools, where would you go? And so every week there was a really cool like project you had to write about. And then you had to
Awesome.
promote yourself on social media. And then there was a voting aspect to this as well. So then they sent each one of us to our alma mater for a game. So they sent me to Notre Dame. It was the 2011-2012 basketball season. And they
Uh-huh.
sent me to the Syracuse game in January. Syracuse was like
They were
undefeated.
amazing
Yeah,
then,
yeah, they
yeah.
were amazing. And so they come into Notre Dame. And so the Notre Dame Fighting Irish digital media group, they gave me a flip cam to video document my weekend. And
Flip cam
so,
back in the
yeah,
day.
yeah. So they had me down on site, on the court, and they
Hmm.
interviewed me, and then I watched the game, and we did predictions before the game, and of course I predicted that we would win.
Of course,
And
yeah,
Notre
yeah.
Dame came out like it was 9-0 at the beginning of the game, and they just never looked back. So
Yep.
then after the game, we've rushed the court. It's this like epic Matt Cashore photo of all the green shirts as everyone, the students rush the field or rush the court. It was so great. So I
Oh my
go
God.
through this contest. Notre Dame is totally supporting me. They have my picture on the Jumbotron at every home basketball game.
No way.
Vote for Four Leaf Clover Girl, because that's my Twitter handle, for
Hmm.
biggest fan of the Big East, right? So we get to March. So there was 16 of us. There was 10 guys and 6 girls. We get to March. They pick the final 4, which is me and 3 guys. It's me,
Uh-huh.
Cincinnati, Villanova, St. John were the final
Oh,
4.
you got that. Come on.
Right, right. So then they kind of look at our body of work. And what I did differently was every time Notre Dame played a school in the conference, I would interview my fellow competitor with my 5 questions. And the five
Ooh.
questions were like, what's your favorite rival? What's the best game you've ever been to in
How
person?
much you guys gonna lose by?
Right, how did you become a fan? And I asked everyone these same 5 questions. And so the people who are running the contest said, we feel like this extra work that you did, rose you above the rest. And so I won. So they flew
Wow.
me to the Big East tournament at Madison Square Gardens. And on center court at halftime, I got presented with the keys to my brand new Volvo.
You got a Volvo?
Mhm.
Oh my gosh, what a story. Okay, you're lucky. I'm gonna go to you for some lottery numbers. I
Right.
want to go to you. That is amazing. But
And here I am competing against these people who, like, football is my jam. Okay. So
yeah.
I'm writing about basketball. I was like, I'm going to have to work 10 times harder than these people are because these people were mega fans, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I really rolled my sleeves up. I mean, I'm the kind of person I feel like I can learn how to do anything, right?
Yeah.
And so you just roll your sleeves up, you get to work. And so the one guy who represented Marquette, he had 100,000 followers on Twitter. And
Oh
I'm
my
like,
gosh.
how did
Back
I
then
get,
too.
yeah, was a lot. Like, how did I get more votes than this guy did? And he has a
No
hundred
shit.
thousand followers, right? Yeah, it's grit, it's determination, it's being
Luck management.
agile, luck management, 100%. So I mean, and my friends are like, well, and like now, every time I meet somebody, it always comes up, oh, well, she won a car. And they're like, wait, what? What
Yeah.
do
Hey,
you
check
mean
it
you
out.
won a
It's
car?
parked out front. Wow. Okay. Lucky. Check mark right there. Second, 2011, 2012. That's when I was about 16, 17 years old, and we were really good in the Big East in basketball during those
Yes.
years.
Oh,
We
yeah.
had the Jerry and Grant, Luke Herringody years. We were always in it. I remember that Louisville game, maybe that was 2013, but just the competition and going
Yeah.
back and forth. We were bruisers in the Big East. It was awesome to see.
And when we rushed the court, I got my picture taken with Grant on the court. Like, he was the first guy
No
that I was
way.
like, my husband, I'm like, just follow along, keep up here, and
Yeah,
I
yeah,
went
yeah.
straight
I'm the
for
lucky one.
Grant.
Come with.
Yeah. Got my picture taken with him, got my picture taken with the leprechaun. I'm like, if we're going down on the court, like, I'm going big. Like, we're doing this. So, yeah.
Totally. I guess you were the lucky charm for those great teams and everything.
And it was crazy because so it's January. They flew us from St. Louis to Chicago, and then the next flight was Chicago to South Bend. So I can see there's a blizzard coming, right? The day that we're flying. So it's January, and they're flying me from St. Louis to Chicago, and then Chicago to South Bend. So we get on the first flight, and I see a blizzard is coming, right? And I can see they're already going to cancel the next flight. And, this whole trip is wrapped around this game, and we have to get there.
You
And
got it.
so
You got to make it.
we get to Chicago, and like flights are canceled left and right. And I'm like, we're going to go rent a car. I'm going to drive in a blizzard. I am not going to. We literally
I got to
rented a
be there,
car.
right?
Yeah. And like made it when all the flights didn't make it because everything got canceled. I was like, I am not missing this.
No, you've gone this far. How do you not
Right.
get there at the end?
So it was crazy. They custom built the car in Sweden. I got to pick color and wheels and sunroof and the whole 9 yards. They built it in Sweden, shipped it on the vessel to New York City, and then
Did they bring it on
transported
the
it.
court?
They had it in Madison Square Garden. The like
Oh my
so I
gosh.
ended up getting a red car. They had a red
Nice.
car, and so then the day of like the weekend of the game, they spent 12 hours filming me, like walking in Times Square. Like they
Mm-hmm.
did this whole Q&A with the garden behind me, and getting in the car and getting out of the car for like a 60-second that turned into a 60-second clip of, you
I
know,
know. How many
Lisa
clips
Kelly,
did they come
biggest
out
fan.
with?
It's
Oh my
crazy.
gosh. And you're wearing all the gear. How much
Oh,
publicity that is for
yeah,
Notre Dame and the love
yeah.
for the university.
You get a car out of it that I'm sure you still have today.
I drove that car into the ground. I will say I got
Good
every
deal.
penny
Hey.
worth out of that car. So I won the car in March and I got it in May. So because my blog went from like 10 people reading it to like thousands of people reading it,
Wow.
I decided, okay, I want to start a series on my blog called Where Are They Now? And so the idea
Cool.
was I'm going to interview former football players and go through a series of questions like, hey, how did you get to Notre Dame? What was your experience like? And then
Yeah.
where did your life go after football?
It's kind of what I
So,
do. Yeah.
yeah. So Oscar McBride was my first interview. I
Cool.
reached out to him because I knew him from college. It was kind of easy to start with somebody that you knew.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
his story probably had 2 or 3 thousand page views. And then the
Wow.
next interview was Rick Meyer, and it had 10,000 page views.
Play
So
like a champion.
overnight, my blog just skyrocketed. So between May of 2012 and January of 2013, I interviewed 32 football players. So
Oh my
now,
goodness.
what's also happening in this time period is Notre Dame football goes undefeated and they
We should
go
have won that
play.
national
Yeah.
championship. Oh my gosh.
So one of the guys that I interviewed, he was also an author, and he's like, I think you have something really great. You should write a book. And I'm like, I don't know anything about writing a book. And he's
Hmm.
like, it's okay. I'm going to be your writing coach. I'm going to teach you how to write a book. So
Of
I
course.
had all
Yeah.
of these Q&A interviews. So we started with his story first. And so he kind of showed me how to weave this into a story.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I had 32 interviews. We put 25 in the first book. We
That's a
wrote the
good
book
number.
in February and March. We edited in April and May. We sent it to the publisher June 1st. I had a book in my hand in August. It was crazy.
Oh my gosh. What was the first book name?
It's called Echoes from the End Zone, The Men We Became. And
Oh,
then
awesome.
because I didn't put all of the guys in the first book, I had some slightly bruised egos.
Fine, you'll
So,
do another one.
yeah, so
Right? Why
then
not?
book two has 30 players in it. So I was going to cut it off at 25 again, but then I kept running into somebody, oh, you've got to interview this person. And I'm like, no, I'm good. I'm done. No, you have to.
I've done enough.
Oh. And, and so the guy whose story was like story 30 is probably the most incredible story I've ever told. And
Who's
I'm
number
so
30?
glad I didn't tell him no. So his name is Pat Fallon.
Yeah.
So he says he played wide out on the 88 team. His wife says he played left out because he didn't play that much. Um, but his post football story is incredible. And you talk about being a force for good. He 100% is. Um, and then, so book three, then I have men and women and other sports besides football. I diversified. So I have football, basketball, baseball, hockey, women's soccer, women's track. So
All
that book
things
has,
Irish.
yeah. So there's 24 chapters in that book. And then in 2020, so my friend Lee Becton, former Notre Dame running back, has been trying to get me to write a cookbook since like 2017.
I saw that
And
on your profile. Yeah.
my response is, hi, have you met me? Like, I could probably
I
burn
don't cook.
water. Okay. I don't cook. I don't. Like, it's
Really?
tragic. Right. Like,
That's the
I
husband.
I managed to cook while the kids were little and not kill anybody. But
Good deal.
yeah, no, like the dad cooks, right? So during the pandemic, my husband was like, well, we're stuck here. We can't go anywhere. We
Better
gotta
learn.
eat.
Yeah.
So I collected recipes during the pandemic from former football players. He did all the cooking, I did all the eating, I did all the photography. So we wrote a cookbook in 2020, which is called Domer Dishes. And then
Wow.
last year, I wrote my first children's book. So I have a French bulldog, and I wrote a whimsical little story about her adventures at Notre Dame, and she meets a
Oh,
friendly Notre Dame squirrel, because of course you have to meet a friendly Notre Dame
of
squirrel.
course, they're everywhere. Those tails are the biggest thing you've ever seen in your life.
Exactly. So for a girl who never, like, I never intended to write a book, let alone five. I mean,
Hmm.
I'm a true believer that you never know where life is going to take you.
Exactly.
And even if you have a plan, it's probably not going to go the way you plan it, right?
Yep. Yep. God laughs at plans, right?
Yep, 100%.
The first thing I have to say on that is, have you ever heard of the red car theory since you got a red car from Volvo?
No,
So the red car theory works around if you go out on the road and you drive and someone says, "How many red cars did you see on the road today?" You would think back and be like, "I didn't see any red cars." Or maybe I saw one in passing, right? But once somebody tells you, "Hey, get on the road next time and tell me how many red cars that you see," you start to see red cars everywhere, all over the roads, like behind you, like there's a crash over there, it's got a red car involved. They're everywhere. And it's that perspective shift of once you know what you're looking for, once you know your objective, then you can start making those decisions and paths forward to see what you want. And you in this one end, you're kind of like, oh, okay, a book. And it's one thing, and you get into the blog, and then it starts blowing up, and all these things start tumbling. And look at you now, you're at 5 books. And so just that whole theory of like you started to change your perspective and change your line of thinking, and look at where you are today.
yeah, it's crazy. Like, if you would have told me 15 years ago, you're going to write 5 books in 10 years, I would have laughed and told you were crazy. But hey, and I think too, with anything in life, if you find something you love that you're passionate about, it's not work, right? Like, I know they always say if you
Truly.
can find something you love, you never work a day in your life. But truly, it really is that, because I love Notre Dame. I get so nervous before I interview an athlete. And then you get into a
Me too.
conversation with them, and it's like they're your oldest friend. Like, I
Hmm.
love the guys who, like, Pat Terrell always says that, I was never, like, treated the guys like a reporter, that it
Hmm.
always seemed like
Yeah.
a conversation. And to me, that's a huge compliment, is because I'm not
That's
a
awesome.
reporter. I'm not trying to get
Oh, you're a
some
person.
scoop, right? I want to tell your story, and I want you to feel comfortable to tell me your story. And every
Yep.
time a guy would introduce me or recommend me to interview the next person, then to me that's a huge compliment as well, that
Hmm.
you trusted me with your story. Because a lot of times, and not every story, but you would kind of go down some paths that, once they read it in black and white, they were like, maybe I don't want to say that, right? And I will
Yeah, yeah,
always
yeah.
let
Trust.
them, right, right. I want you to tell your story, and I want you to be comfortable with what we're telling. And, there are some bumps along the road. And if you don't want to share that, then we're not going to share it, right? And a lot of the guys
Exactly.
share hard things. Like, there are some hard adversity things that the guys felt comfortable enough to share. And then some of them decided that, maybe I don't want to share that. And that's okay.
Yeah.
Like, I want the guys to be happy with their story, and I want to tell stories. I want us to do good by the university, right? Like,
A
they're
hundred percent.
100%. So I don't want to paint an athlete in a bad manner, and I don't want to paint the university in a bad manner. And I feel like there's a way to tell a hard story with a positive spin.
I agree. And so much of the news nowadays is so focused on negativity. And when you can really shape and formulate something, because you're not reporting the war in Gaza, you're reporting a Notre
Right.
Dame community, you're reporting we joked about it earlier, like this the best cult in the world, like a
Right.
loving, caring, we love our gold. and there's a community because it's not a 4-year decision, it's a 40-year decision. Your whole life
100%.
will
Yep.
be involved and connected to Notre Dame. And to do that, and you start to build relationships with these people. And that's what I've done on my podcast too. Like, hey, I want to ask the questions that people aren't asking you. Why is your business failing here or doing this or that? No, it's like, who are you and what do you stand for? And how are you trying to change the world? And it really does flourish and change from a lot of different news outlets and perspectives.
Yeah. And I also feel like we can tell a hard story. Like you could have a rough experience in your time at Notre Dame, and then we can take that hard time and teach a lesson from it.
Hmm.
Okay, you had trouble in a class, or you made a bad choice, right? We've all made bad
We've all been
choices.
there.
But what did you do to turn around that bad choice? And how can we prevent someone else from making that bad choice? So at the end of
Luck
every
management.
chapter, I have 2, 3, 4, 5 lessons from each guy that we kind of like wrap up the chapter and say, if you could pass along up to 5 words of wisdom with a young athlete or a student or someone that's headed to Notre Dame or just someone who's headed to college, or
Anywhere,
what
yeah.
something happened in your 20s that now you look back and go, boy, I wish I hadn't done that. Like, those are the things, like, yes, it's fun to tell these stories, right? And the fans want to hear all the fun times from the locker room and that big play. But I feel like if we can teach something while we're telling these fun stories,
Hmm.
like, then that's, it's like, can we have a little fun and do some good all at the same time, right?
Right. That's the mission, right? It's a
Yep.
mission that goes forward there. So many times I've dealt with, uh, yeah, what did you learn from this? Or what little bit of advice? Because as much as that game-winning drive is amazing and it's so cool to talk about it, there are so many life lessons that you come from those moments. I was talking to Steve Berline and Daryl Gordon on the
Oh, I love
podcast, and
Flash.
Flash is amazing. And the way that he like turned his hard story into a story of helping his children, helping this nonprofit as a CEO of like building people back and allowing them to pursue their goals, pursue their dreams. And Steve Berline going from, hey, I got cut, but I played 17 years in the NFL in an era where all they did was hit you in the head. Like
Yeah,
it's that determination and that grit, and that is what you can hold close to you and bring forward in your life, and that's the mission of luck management. Like
yeah.
it's you're more lucky than you think when you can take some of those points.
Yeah. And the whole like story behind the subtitle of the book being The Men We Became, which I
Yeah.
got so much heat over because they're like, you're a woman. I'm like, right, but I'm telling stories about men. And the
Oh, get out of
whole,
here
I
with
know,
that. Yeah.
but the whole backstory to the men we became was that every story came back to, I wouldn't be the man I am today without the morals and values that I learned at Notre Dame. So we
Wow.
kind of like coined it the Notre Dame value stream. What each person learned on the Notre Dame value stream was what molded and shaped them into the men and women they became. And so that is kind of a running theme. Like every story would come back to the same thing, that I wouldn't be who I am today had I gone to Stanford or UCLA or Miami. That the
Truly.
reason why I am the person I am today is because of the experiences, good and bad, that I had at Notre Dame
That
shaped
cold
me.
weather.
Yeah, into who I am today. Like I wouldn't, I went to Notre Dame and I wanted to be an astronaut. I started out
Wow.
as an aerospace engineer and
Very cool.
got a year into that and like very quickly learned that I'm not an engineer.
I'm
Not,
good. I'm gonna stay on
no,
the earth.
yeah, not an engineer. And so here, like everything that I had worked for was just crumbling in front of me. And my physics professor was like, "Sweetheart, you are not an engineer." And so I have to call home to tell my dad, who is an engineer, that I'm not going to be an engineer. And I'm just like
Did he know?
distraught.
Did he kind of know a little
Oh,
bit,
I'm
or did
sure he
he?
did. I'm sure he did.
Yeah.
So I call home. I grew up in Los Angeles.
As you all know, every episode is brought to you by CharmND. And I wanted to let you guys know that I'm in round 2 of the McCloskey venture at Notre Dame, sponsored by the Notre Dame Idea Center. And we had to do a pitch deck. My brother and I are a team, and we talked about the financials, the work of CharmND, and how we're building out this process. So I decided I wanted to add in our second round presentation. So I've added this here. It's about 5 minutes talking about CharmND. Yeah, it gives some financials, things like that, but it's a really cool idea. It's a really cool process of going through it with my brother, and really excited for you to take a listen. So we'll get back to the episode after this video, but enjoy.
I'm a Notre Dame Master's of Science in Management graduate of 2023. I also operate CharmND in the Etsy shop.
I'm RJ Loesch. I'm currently a one-year MBA student at Notre Dame, studying strategy. And below me, you'll see some of the partners that we've collaborated with to produce some of our products.
We are a Notre Dame family. So CharmND, Lucky Notre Dame Lucky Charms, for the fans, students, and supporters who love their university. We're a range of keepsakes that capture that essence. Unlike bookstores and Etsy sellers, we source materials directly from Notre Dame and hopefully other universities and embody authentic tradition. There's a problem here. There's a lack of those tangible and meaningful keepsakes that really do capture that spirit and tradition, the essence of those places. Unlike apparel like a t-shirt or generic merchandise, we love the logo, but they're creating something more authentic in a personal way to feel connected to the university. Like I said, our target customers are alumni, students, and supporters and fans all around the country. It's all handmade by me and our team, and it takes a lot of work. But we have an emotional disconnect we need to make sure. But with CharmND, we don't have that. We have the CharmND solution. We're a success story for the Notre Dame spirit. We are partnered with Finish Line. We have over $3,000 in sales, and we have over 1,200 followers on Instagram. We're very unique with authentic materials, and we're handmade for customers. And they love us. We have positive market reception, and we're sponsored by Luck Management.
So why now? We believe it's the perfect time for CharmND. With the current landscape showcasing an untapped market of rising nostalgia among 10 million plus Notre Dame fans, that indicates an opportunity for premium products that really means something. The use of digital outreach and technology allows us to market out through using social media, Etsy, and other platforms to reach our customers, especially during seasonal times like football or doing promotions and sort of things like that. We also believe that this is a unique opportunity and a unique moment for us to leverage the heritage, local craftsmanship, and preservation of Notre Dame. And that urgency is created through local support, our e-commerce growth, university pride, and this upcoming football season. So next, we'll take a look at the economics surrounding our products. The two major products that we're offering are on our screen here would be our earrings, which are around $20 and come out to a gross profit around 83%, and our $60 keychains with a gross profit of 54 or 90%. Our customer acquisition costs are pretty low, around $10 per customer. And given our sort of economics here, we believe our payback period would be within 1 year. And with the earrings and keychain sales, you see what that would reach out to. So next, we'll kind of take a look at the engagement. We have a unique customer base of 200 customers currently and counting. Our revenue over the past 12 months has averaged out to around $250 per month, with a gross margin on average around 88%. Our Etsy score is currently 4.7 stars, which is pretty great. And we currently have 1,200 followers on our social media accounts. So next, we'll take a little look in the financial overview and what we're expecting on the side of growth. We currently don't have any funding. It's all coming from our hard-earned money and personal investment. Our burn rate is currently around 1.5 times with an inventory of just over $9,000. Our milestones for this year, 24, we're hoping to reach $10,000 in sales. And by 25, we're hoping to double that to 20. In addition to our milestones, we're seeking mentorship from the Notre Dame alumni to really connect and grow our business.
We've talked about a little bit of our financials, but this is our strategy. We're a B2C business and we're a B2B business as well. We work with consumers and we work with universities. We've talked about our target customers. There are so many people that we can reach, and we've been validated. We have a 40% return rate, and we have sponsorships from my podcast. And we have proven success of 4.7 stars and repeat customers. We are authentic, handcrafted, exclusive, with a community connection. We care about Notre Dame, and we're adaptive to the different innovations. We're a higher quality product, and we're not as expensive as other alternatives like the bookstore or other sports memorabilia. Overall, we want to be a force for good. We want to foster school pride in the community, and we want to preserve that heritage. We have a commitment to impact here too. 20% of all proceeds want to be donated to the Notre Dame Scholarship Fund, and boosters receive CharmND from other donations. Thank you. Go Irish.
So I didn't go home until Christmas break,
No,
and it's
you
really
wanted to
far
stay
away.
away for a little while.
Yeah. So I call home and he answers and I'm just sobbing for like 5 minutes. And here's my dad 2,000 miles away who thinks I've been in a car wreck, that I'm like laying in an emergency room, right? Like as a parent,
Yeah.
if you have a sobbing
it goes
child
to the
on
worst
the other
first, right.
And then finally I'm like, Dad, I have to drop physics. And he's like, oh my God, drop physics. Like,
Cool. Okay.
It's
Thank
fine.
you. Oh my God. Yeah, he's probably
Pick a new
dialing
major,
every
right?
hospital, like setting up his flight right now. He's got Delta on the other line.
Right? But as
Oh my
I look
gosh.
back on that, the adversity that I went through, like I had never failed a class. Like I
Yeah.
had straight A's all 4 years in high school. Like I am a type A perfectionist, right? And
As
to
a
have
lot of Notre Damers.
Yeah. And to have to drop a class because I'm failing it was like catastrophic, right? But
Mhm.
as I move forward in life, I think about all the times that I've failed at something, that I look back at that and say, well, I failed at that, but I dusted myself off, I picked myself up, I picked a new direction, everything's fine. And I think people who
Yeah.
don't have that taste of failure early, like I'd rather learn that early and be able to be agile and flexible and learn new things than to have a fear that just freezes you because you don't want to try something new because you're afraid to fail.
Kathleen Kiefer on the Luck Management
Love her.
podcast said, "Oh, the best Notre Dame art I've ever seen."
Oh,
She
she's
said-
incredible.
She said that one of her favorite quotes of all time is from Lou Holtz when he said, "Luck follows speed," and being able to adjust quickly, cut your losses, understand that something may not be right for you, because that is when the most space of learning, growth, and ability to get to where you really want to go happens. And I fully believe in that. And you're a testament to that.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. The amount of times that I quote Coach Holtz, my kids are like, stop quoting this man. But it's funny, like now as they're young adults and they've both met Coach or at least been in a room with Coach. And so 2 years ago, my daughter got to meet Coach Holtz.
Oh my
And
gosh.
then last year, I was able to take my son to brunch where Coach spoke. I wasn't able to get him close
Yeah, it's
enough
hard to
to meet
wrangle him.
him. But just to be in a room, and I kind of watched his face as Coach was speaking, and you could just see this like wash of, oh my gosh, it all makes so much more sense now when you actually see him in person and hear him. And, he's telling the stories that I've been quoting for 30 years, and my son is
Yeah.
like, Mom!
He's the great white buffalo for me,
Ugh,
honestly. If I ever
yeah.
got him on, I'd actually wouldn't know what to talk about. I'd just be like, okay, can we spend the first 10 minutes of me just like looking at you and just saying like you're amazing?
Well, and here's the Coach Holtz story. So I write the first book, and Oscar helps me pick the 25 chapters that go in the book,
Mm-hmm.
and he's like, well, who's gonna write the introduction? And I'm like, I don't know, I've never done this before. Like, so
Lou Holtz.
right. So Oscar's like, well, let's ask Coach to write the foreword. And I'm
Oh my
like, I
gosh.
don't know Coach Holtz. Like, I met Coach Holtz. Coach Holtz came to my dorm as a student and did a
Wow.
little, like, meet and greet. Like, that was cool, right? But I
Yeah,
don't know
amazing.
him clearly well enough to be like, hey, will you
Yeah,
write a
you'd
forward?
like to,
Yeah.
but
So Oscar says, it's okay. We had like the first 5 chapters were done and edited. And so Oscar's like, I'm just going to email the first 5 chapters to Coach, kind of tell him what we're doing and see if he'll write the forward. And I'm like, okay. And so we get an email back from his admin, and her name was Jan. And
uh-huh,
Jan says, well, Coach is really busy, but if you
of
can
course.
write like a draft and send it, then he'll put his touch on it. And so I look
Oh
it up.
my gosh.
I tell Oscar, like, I don't know Coach's voice as well as you do. And Oscar says, no problem. He was starting to work on a draft to send to Coach. Before we could even get a draft finished, Coach read the 5 chapters, wrote the foreword, and sent it back to me. I
He
literally cried. I'm like, I have this
You are lucky.
email, and I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, Coach Holtz just wrote the foreword for my book. So, flash forward, the book publishes the end of August. It's the first weekend of college football, and Coach Holt and Mark May are doing the end of night show, and they're having their little banter. And Mark May he's arguing about why athletes should be paid. And Coach Holtz is arguing back that athletes should not be paid. And he's
Yeah.
he's quoting my book
He
in
quoted
defense of
your
his
book?
Yes. It's like, well, in Lisa Kelly's book, and my phone literally blew up. Everyone's like, if you're not watching ESPN, you better turn it on.
Oh my gosh. So hey, he knows you. Like even though
Yeah,
in those moments, and
crazy.
that is the dedication right there. That's like the Notre Dame difference. You're putting out good vibes and the good vibes roll back, and I mean it was an ode to that football team and the amount of leadership and ability that he had to create leaders of men. Wow.
And if you look at what all of those guys have done with their lives, I mean, truly incredible. You've got a 4-star general, you've got a guy who ran the Secret Service, you have Rick's got a winery. I mean, you got
Yeah.
Flash. Like, the guys that came out of those years of Holt's teams, just truly incredible human beings,
Triumphs.
and do so much not only in their jobs but in their communities. They all have foundations and charities, and
Mm-hmm.
and incredibly smart children, and it's like they're just succeeding at everything they do.
Fantastic. Hey, maybe we can figure out a few of the guests to come on the podcast.
Absolutely. Yeah. I've got some
uh,
good ones.
and that's the thing too. They could have rested on their laurels or rested on being, hey, I had this, I can get any job, I can do this or that. But there's a dedication to push it forward. And that hard work and determination allows you to like believe in yourself. A lot of this world, and as you spoke about it, like providing the good things, you expect good things to come back. If you're living in a world where every day is down and you tell yourself it's not going to go all right, it won't. But if you
Yeah.
give yourself the excitement, the ability to say like today's going to be a great day, then it very well might be.
Yeah. Yeah, I just designed a t-shirt that I put up on my website and it says, "It's a good day to have a lucky day." And I feel
Ooh, I
like
love it.
that's me. Like every day is a good day to have a lucky day, you know?
Yeah, we should collab on some t-shirts or something. Luck
Yeah.
management. Well, yeah. Plug the website. Can you give the website?
Yeah, so my website is echoesfromnotredamebooks.com. So obviously most of what I have on there are my books. I have kind of started to get into some merch, so I have a cooking apron to go with the cookbook, and
Of
I
course,
have a
right?
stuffed animal and a children's hat to go with the children's book. And then this week I just put some lucky merch up there. So yeah, trying to,
Ah,
yeah,
some lucky merch. Yeah. Well, I don't know if you've seen. I do Charm ND, and it's all
I love
based
it.
around
Yeah.
the pieces of Notre Dame. Like I have those football helmets that are actually painted with the same gold
With
they
the
use
gold. It's
on the
amazing.
helmets.
Yep.
Some amazing partnerships with the Innovation Lab and the Mendoza School when I was there. I'm actually in the McCloskey venture right now.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
yeah, doing the second round there and hopefully moving forward and getting it more involved in the Notre Dame community. But there is that love of like wanting to give back to the school because I love my diploma. I'll hold on to it for the rest of my life, near and dear.
It's
I
hanging
haven't
on the
gotten
wall, you know?
it's right over there, I swear. And I
Same.
have I got I got this I got the golden dome right here. You can kind of see it, and a
Love
little
it. Yeah,
leprechaun
I've
and
got my
everything.
shamrocks on, so yeah.
Yeah, they're beautiful. I mean, there is just something about it and that beautiful nature of like what there's so much more to Notre Dame and stuff like that. And so with that, I'd love to ask you what your thoughts are for this upcoming season. And I think that there's so much excitement. I think that we are in a great moment. I think that with our schedule, with the players that we have in, the coaching staff that is staying around, the vibe at the school, Lou Holtz won in his third year, Eric Parsegian, Newt Rockney, all won in their third year. There is a lot of cosmic things lining up for a lucky season. What are your
Yep.
thoughts?
I'm really excited about this season. I mean, I don't think we can go wrong at quarterback. I
Hmm.
mean, I think
I
that
know.
Angeli has been really, they've been molding him, and you've got
Peanut butter and
Riley
jelly.
coming in. Yeah, so I mean, I think we have two really good quarterbacks. They're going to have to compete for that starting job. And I think the great thing about having two quarterbacks is that if somebody gets hurt, you've got somebody that's 100% ready to step right in. You've got Carr coming in. I mean, I
I
think,
know. It's
yeah,
almost too much. At night coming in, Deuce Knight. Like,
yeah.
I'm like, we have too much
But I
competition. Is
think,
that a good thing?
no, I think that if you want to be competitive
You
with the
need to have it.
Alabama and Georgia and Clemson, you have to have that depth, right?
I
And
agree.
so I don't think that having too much I think that's a good thing. I think that's a telltale sign of a program that's coming into, you know,
People want to be
greatness.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah. People want to be here. There is the media side, and I'm sure you know this as being very heavily involved in the brand and marketing of businesses. The media side of Notre Dame has blown up like crazy. Seeing those videos, like "Show me the money," like all of the things that we're doing are really putting us into the 2024 season, the 2025 season. we are right there. Every class ranking, everything that we're doing, we're upgrading in the right way, but still in the Notre Dame way, which I think is beautiful.
And I think the other thing that really helps the program is that when you see how many former grads are now being successful in the NFL, I mean, you
Mm-hmm.
look at the Super Bowl, you got Drew Tranquil, you got Aaron Banks, but there's so many Notre Dame guys right now that are doing really well in the NFL. And that continues to come back and shine
Yeah.
upon the program because when you turn on the TV on Sunday, and it doesn't matter what game you have on, there's going to be a Notre Dame guy in the mix somewhere. Like,
Mm-hmm.
that's huge for the program.
It's massive for the program. Kyle Hamilton, I
Oh
mean,
my
he's
gosh.
become
Yeah.
the best safety in the league. And before that, Harrison Smith was the best safety in the league. And then you have all of these linemen. I mean, every single lineman that we have goes on to start and get paid like all pro. Zach
Oh, yeah.
Martin, McGlinchey, all of these players. And then you
You got
have,
Equinemius St. Brown. You got
yeah,
Chase Claypool. I mean, just the amount of guys that are out there killing it is incredible.
it's fantastic to see. And now that I see this, I think in the next few years it'll be the Notre Dame quarterback because I know that that all gets the glitz and glamour and stuff like that. But that's what we're doing. We're building it out towards that.
Yeah.
And I mean, seeing Joe Montana on TV a bunch last week because of the 49ers, and you're
And
like, that's
Ricky
our guy.
Waters. And yeah, like it was cool seeing all of the Domers on the sideline for sure. Yeah, I feel
And yeah,
like
tranquil.
the missing piece to this point really was that quarterback
I
position.
agree.
And so, like, right now, with the depth that we have at quarterback, like, I think that we're there, right? And the other thing from this weekend's games that really struck me was after the Chiefs game, Kelsey grabbed Kyle Hamilton and said, "Man, you're it, right? Like,
Yeah.
I hope you have a lot of more good years because he's at the top of his game and he's only going to get better."
I know. And yeah, from Kelsey, who's literally on the stratosphere right now with him dating. We
Well,
got to
they
get,
said that the
yeah.
pass that Kelsey caught that Hamilton missed was the first miss he had the whole season.
Oh, well, hey, NFL's rigged, so all that.
Oh my gosh. Do some Taylor Swift math. We all know
Yeah,
who's going to win.
yeah, right? Come on. I mean, oh, it's amazing to see. And I didn't even mention Kyron Williams, which had one of the best rookie
Oh,
seasons for the
love
Rams.
him. Yeah.
And I loved him at Notre Dame. Mayer, our tight ends, the list goes on and on. You and I could just like sit here and just be like, oh, him? Yep.
Yep. Yeah. Well, I know Kyron Williams' mom because he's a St. Louis kid. So just so
Awesome.
happy to see him with the Rams, after growing up with the Rams in St. Louis. Now, me
Hmm.
personally, I have a really hard time cheering for the Rams because we were season ticket holders for 20 years. And when they left, I
Fair
literally
enough.
took everything to Goodwill and was like, I can't. So, so we've joined the Chiefs bandwagon now that I live 3 hours from Kansas City. So,
Okay, I know your
yeah,
prediction then.
yeah. Go Chiefs. So we actually went to Vegas and saw the Chiefs play the Raiders. So, and
Wow.
saw Michael Mayer catch his first touchdown pass. So that was really cool. And then we saw the Chiefs on New Year's Eve play the Bengals, and Irv
Oh my
Smith's
gosh.
son, so Irv was in my class. Irv Smith Jr. plays for the Bengals, so got to see him on the sideline. So yeah, we love us some football in this house. So
You, yeah, if you're in the Lisa Kelly household, you live and die by the Notre Dame football world. But also, you got some good teams you're liking right now with the Chiefs also.
yeah, I no complaints here at all.
Well, I know that we only have about 10 minutes here, and we've gotten all through the world of Notre Dame. I'd love to just talk a few minutes about the work once you left Notre Dame and how you built being a brand and market strategist for Nestle brands, right?
Yeah. So, when I got out of college, I started out in advertising and I did that for probably 14 years. I shifted and learned. I got hired by a company. It was a Notre Dame grad who hired me, and she did email marketing.
Nice.
So she taught me email marketing, and I learned how to program in HTML and how to be a copywriter. And so learned to, basically told her I can learn how to do anything. Like, I don't know how to do this, but
I'm
take
ready
a
to go.
chance on me, right? And that was incredible. And then when the crash happened in '08, she had to downsize. And so one
Totally.
of her clients hired me. I learned marketing research, did that for about 4 years. And then I got on with Nestle in 2014. So got on in Nestle, started out in social media. I was literally the beg and strip dog on Twitter and
No
Facebook and
way.
Instagram.
Those popped off on social media.
Yeah, I got to talk about dogs and bacon all day long, which
That's a
was
good life
awesome.
right there.
So did that for about 2 years. Then I moved into their web design department and kind of was working on brand websites. And then 5 years I got into e-commerce. So I started on the retail side, and now I'm on the brand side. So on the brand side, I'm helping brands create best in class e-commerce content. And
Wow, cool.
so, when we started in e-com at Purina, nobody knew anything about e-com, and we were kind of
Yeah,
building the plane as we were flying it. So I feel like 5 years later, we're in a totally different situation.
I bet.
And the great thing about Purina is they have so many awesome causes that their brands get behind. So
Truly.
Dog Chow is one of my brands, and we have a service, Salute. So we partner with veteran agencies to give service dogs to veterans that come home who are injured. So,
Wow.
or if they're fighting with PTSD, we've learned that if you pair a veteran suffering with PTSD with a dog, that their
Makes a huge
chances
difference.
of survival go up significantly. One of
Man's
our
best
other,
friend.
100%, yeah. And then one of our other really big missions that I'm super passionate about is the Purple Leash Project. And so
Okay.
what the Purple Leash Project does is a lot of women who have children and are in like a violent situation at home, they
Yeah,
won't leave and leave a pet behind. And so we've
totally.
been working with domestic violence shelters to equip them to take women and children with their pets. Because we know
Wow.
if they leave a pet behind, that pet is probably going to be injured or worse.
Oh
And
my
so
gosh, yeah.
we have just in the couple of years that we've been doing this, just vastly increased the amount of shelters that will take families with pets. And
Wow.
so, it's great to work for a company that
That's
has
beautiful.
all of these passion projects going where
Yeah,
we know we have good products, but we also want to give back to our communities. So, we do a lot of days where our employees will go volunteer at a pet shelter or
yeah,
paint
yeah.
the interior of an elementary school that's falling apart. Or, I mean, we're just very passionate about giving back to our communities, not just in the pet space, but, the people in our communities as well.
Yeah, the interconnectedness. I mean, pets are a part of family. And so
Yeah.
to be in somebody's home and to provide food for the pet that you sometimes love more than your kids is amazing. And I find that to be wonderful that you've been able to tag that along where it's not just work and you love the work, you're doing good work, and you're in a place that was a desert before and now it's plush with like, how do you get this to somebody to buy? Because there's a lot of different products out there. But it's fantastic to see that. And I'm actually in the market for rescuing a dog. I've been going to shelters these last few weeks, walking with them, playing with them, taking care of them. And there's no better action of just being able to give yourself to a pet and have that care for them. Oh, I love that. I'm going to check out
Yeah.
all those different projects.
Yeah, well, we always say that people and pets are better together. So, I mean, I think
Agreed.
that your life is enriched by having a pet. And, I have a dog and three cats, and my
Nice.
husband and I own a zoo. So, I have
You
an
own a zoo
yeah. So, we have a lot of animals in our life. So, yeah.
in St. Louis?
We live in Branson. So,
Okay, oh
we
yeah, right
have
outside there.
we have a zoo here, and then we have a second location an hour outside of St. Louis that my sister-in-law runs. So,
Oh my
literally
gosh, if I'm
lions
ever
and
there,
tigers and bears.
I'm going. I am going to check it out. I will definitely let you know. I love that. Oh my gosh,
Yep,
you're connected and like committed to the mission right there.
for sure, for sure. We love animals, and just trying to make their lives better. Especially for animals that can't go back to the wild. I know a
Yeah,
lot of
what's
people
the zoo
don't like
called?
zoos. It's called Branson's Wild World. And
Branson's Wild World.
we're very passionate about making an animal's life as good as it can possibly be. So yeah.
Oh my gosh. Oh, doing the Lord's work. I mean, that's so cool. From your time in working here, you're in a wonderful spot, and you're probably learning so much. For somebody that's getting new into the world of advertising or in that brand awareness space, can you maybe give something maybe you've learned or any pieces of advice that you would give to the Notre Damers or just people that are listening to this? The luckies, I
Yeah.
call
Yeah.
them.
I feel like finding a company that has a product or a mission that you're passionate about is super important. I've had a lot of jobs along the way, and some were good and some were not. But I feel
Yeah.
like when you're in a job where you have a product that you're behind, you have a mission. Like Purina talks about being a force for good. Like it's crazy how they use the same words that Notre Dame uses. And it's like, okay,
Hmm.
obviously I'm a good fit here because that's totally my mantra and how I live. And so, if you can find a business that kind of gels with your personal beliefs, I think it makes it easy to get up and go to work every day.
I love it. I love it. Take those actions because it will follow you. Yeah, don't go for the money. Hey, money will find you as long as you have that commitment and you have that passion to grow. Ah,
Uh,
Lisa, this hour has been the fastest hour of my life. Like just talking Notre Dame, talking work, talking everything. I would love for you to just plug all of your books and your blog right now and where anybody can find you.
Yeah, so if you want signed copies from my books, the best place to get them is at echoesfromnotredamebooks.com.
Hmm.
They're also available on, Amazon, Barnes and Noble, but if you want to support the small business, go to my website.
Go support the small
Yeah,
business.
yeah, for sure. So, I'm on Twitter and Facebook and LinkedIn and all the places. So, if you search Lisa Kelly, I'm sure you'll find me. Don't pick that Lisa Kelly Ice Road trucker. That's not me. You want the Notre Dame
In
one.
another life.
Yeah.
Well, okay, we need to do this again because I think that we just scratched the surface on all things Notre Dame, and you were fantastic to be here, and I'm just so appreciative of it.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm very grateful to have a chance to talk a little bit about what I'm doing and, share with the Notre Dame community. So I really appreciate you having me on.
Of course. So wherever you listen, Apple or Spotify, we're also available on YouTube. Keep living the luck management lifestyle. Peace.